All right, what is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Colby here with Patriots Global, of course, like always, as we are making this a new series for every post-game live stream. This is going to be a thing following every single game for the rest of the season. Me and my boy Rob here from the House Call podcast. Obviously, he also has an Instagram where he's mainly known from. Right there, you guys can go ahead and look at that. That username right there is where you can follow him on Instagram. He also shows the game every week. So if you're not able to get the game on TV or just in general, you're out and, you obviously aren't at home watching the TV and you want to watch the game, Instagram, that's the place to find it. He's going to stream the games. He's going to give you all your Patriots content there. So make sure you guys follow him. But like I said, we're going to be going post-game every single week. We went last week for the Miami Dolphins. And now this week, we're going for the Pittsburg Steelers. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Like I said, we wanted to go about 20 minutes after. Then, obviously, a crazy game there with Baltimore and the Dolphins. Wanted to catch that. And then we just had a couple of technical difficulties. So apologize for that. That's obviously not going to be an every weekly thing. Just sometimes, unfortunately, there's going to be some technical issues. But before we get into this, you guys know how we start each and every single video. We got to get hype. We got to roll that Patriots Global intro. All right, looks like we already got a couple people in the chat. Excuse me. Janelle, you are first. No Love Entertainment showing out here. Ashley is also out here. SCJ is also out here, guys. Thank you for popping out, as this is obviously going to continue to grow as we get more people in. But the New England Patriots come out with their first win of the season. The Patriots, I don't know what it is. It's for some reason, it's kind of like the Patriots and the Dolphins. Like, they just always split no matter what. It's just fate. This is fate. The New England Patriots own the Pittsburg Steelers. And it's not that it was a great game. It's not that, the Patriots obliterated them by any means necessary. But I forget what his record is against Tomlin. But the Patriots own the Pittsburg Steelers. The Steelers rarely beat the Patriots. I think over the last, I
think 6 out of 7 we've won.
I don't even know how many years at this point. I think they've only won one game against the Patriots, and that was in 2018 when we went ahead and won the Super Bowl against the Rams. But the New England Patriots win a close game. This is definitely a close game. It could have gone either way. 17-14. The Patriots, for the most part, kept this within their realm. They kind of controlled this game, I would say, for the most part. Patriots put up 3 points in the first quarter to the Steelers 0. Patriots put up 7 points in the second to the Steelers 3. The Patriots put up 7 points again in the third quarter to the Steelers 3. And then the fourth quarter is where the Steelers started to come back. Patriots put up 0 points in the fourth, while the Steelers come back with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, putting up 8 points. So essentially, this game was, I would say the Patriots controlled it for the most part. There in the fourth quarters where it started to get a little bit more away from them. But thankfully, because that consistent run game of Ramondre Stevenson, Damon Harris, both that 1-2 punch, they were able to really just run the football down their throat, control that clock, and come out with the win.
It's crazy. Both those guys averaged like 5 yards an attempt. And I don't know. Mac was kind of forcing the ball all day. I feel like he was trying to just get people involved. Like it seems like every time he throws to Parker, it's an interception. But other than that, Meyers, my God, like anytime we needed a clutch catch out of him, he just did it. He had 13 targets, 9 receptions, 95 yards, and somehow he still doesn't get a touchdown. It's just like the ongoing thing. But Nelson Aguilar, wow, that catch.
That wasn't that you needed that. And you know what? I saw the stat. It was like I think that was the only drive so far or at least play where they didn't have Devontae Parker in. They ran like, forget what personnel they were running there, but supposedly Devontae Parker wasn't in there. It's just kind of ironic, like you said, you're throwing Devontae Parker. It's either an incompletion or an interception. They're just not on the same page, which is something we didn't see all offseason. So that's not something I expected to roll in with the start of the season for them to not be on the same page. But you get him out of the game. You have Kendrick Bourne in there now and Nelson Aguilar. You throw up a 50-50 ball to Aguilar and it comes out with this, 43-yard touchdown. So, I mean, I think Nelson Aguilar had a really good game. He had a really good bounce back game. And a lot of people were saying, hey, Kendrick Bourne should be wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 2 on the depth chart, which I don't necessarily agree with. But Aguilar did play himself higher on the depth chart this entire offseason. I mean, if you look at it from training camp, OTAs, minicamp, preseason, he was just playing better than Kendrick Bourne and whatnot, which is really what thrusted him higher on the depth chart. And I think today proved really why he was thrusted up on that depth chart. Now, he does have to stay consistent. Last week really wasn't great for him, obviously fumbling too. I think he played a little bit out of position last week too, but if he can continue to play like he did today, I understand why they have him at really like a wide receiver 2 position.
I really liked how animated he got throughout this game. Like, he was really trying to win this game for us, and he really showed it. 110 yards on 6 receptions, 6 targets, so he didn't drop anything. And a touchdown, which was 44 yards. This game, I mean, you say it was close, but really, like, it was just us. Like, the interception that we got with, I think, Jalen Mills, Mac Wilson tip ball, and then Mac, like, the very next play throws a interception. I think Mac needs to stop, like, forcing it. I feel like he, at times, wants to be, like, his favorite quarterback of all time, which I think is Brett Favre. Don't emulate that guy's game. I mean, if you want to start throwing like him, so be it. But, like, don't make the boneheaded plays. Like, I really didn't understand. Was it, like, 3rd and 2? I think we were in their red zone, or at least on their side of the field. John was basically being mugged, and he passes to him. Sometimes
it was on the 3rd down too, right?
Yeah, it was 3rd and 2. I don't understand some of the throws Mac makes. I guess he's just trying to go for it. Okay, like, here's my dude. I know he's gonna make that 50-50 catch, which is nice and all. But, like, you're in a game where, like, it literally got to a point where it was a game of inches. We can't make mistakes. And we can't let them capitalize off our mistakes. Like, we had 1 turnover, and I believe they had 1 interception, and I don't know if they had a fumble. There was a controversial fumble.
That muffed punt.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Gunner.
Excellent position for us. That's honestly like a key play for us there to come out with this win. So yeah, thank you, Gunner Olszewski.
Thank you, Gunner.
Actually, Gunner Olszewski actually said, you know, he compared playing the Patriots again to like Senior X. He's like, you want to have a great game. So I guess he did want to have a good game, but unfortunately he did not. I think he had like 1 good pass catch, and that was about it, which was after that fumble. But he really did more harm than good. But hey, he helped us out at the end of the day, so that really helped. But no, I agree. And I talked to you about this before we hopped onto this live stream, that some of these plays that I was seeing from Mac today, and just so far through 2 weeks, he's looked good. He has not looked great. He has not looked like the Mac Jones I saw last year, at least from what we saw last year, from the start of the season to the end of the season, the way he's progressed. And, you know, I'm not saying that this is how he's going to perform the entirety of this, you know, season right now in 2022. I think he's definitely going to get better, but right now he's not looking the way I think we all expected. His passes are overthrown. His passes are underthrown. And I don't know how much of that, you know, is necessarily on Mac versus how much is communication, because, you know, I saw some Patriots fans saying that pass to Devontae Parker, I believe that was also on a 3rd down.
That was an incredible play by Minkah Fitzpatrick. It draws resemblance to when Poyer during the playoff game where he just jumped in front of it. That was just him just recognizing the play and just jumping it. Otherwise, if Minkah doesn't catch that, that's probably in the breadbasket. I just want to see Parker jump and get the ball, like what he did with Miami. And he was kind of out of position, so I didn't really see him being able to do that.
Yeah, so that interception, obviously that was not a good throw by Mac. I mean, no. I don't know what he was thinking there. Like, look, if you don't see Fitzpatrick, then okay, then I understand why you would throw that ball. But from Mac's point of view, I don't see how you don't see Fitzpatrick. I don't see how you don't compensate for that. I mean, that's a high safety at that point, playing in coverage there defensively for the Steelers. So I don't know what Mac was seeing there. I don't know why he thought he was going to be able to squeeze that ball in. Obviously, that ball was going to take a couple of seconds to get to Devontae Parker. And with that being said, Minkah Fitzpatrick was a few feet away. Like, he was obviously going to intercept that ball again. It was just a bad interception by Mac. I don't know what he was thinking at that point. But the play that I was trying to refer to was, again, on that 3rd down. I think, I don't know what Mac was expecting versus what Devontae Parker was thinking. One of them was expecting a back shoulder catch. The other thought that they were just going to come back for the ball. And that was just a miscommunication. But I saw some Patriots fans saying that Mac threw a short ball because, I mean, from the plain eye view, you see Devontae coming back trying to, catch the ball, and it's just too short for him to grab. Some Patriots fans are like, hey, that's a bad ball by Mac.
That's just chemistry.
Short. But that's not what that was. It was a bad play. Mac put it where he thought Devontae was going to turn around and grab it, but Devontae thought it was a different play that was going to be more of a back shoulder catch. And ultimately that came down to chemistry. It didn't come down to a bad play. But, I don't think that Mac has looked the sharpest. And even in the preseason, we saw times where Mac was just like overshooting guys way too high. So I don't know if he's just anxious. He's having some anxiety, maybe with this offensive line and how they've performed, especially this offseason. Maybe that's kind of getting him a little bit more jittery. It's throwing off his timing, because a big thing about timing here is that, a quarterback keeps in mind how much time he has, especially when it comes to your blind side. Like, you're not going to be able to see that. You're going to keep in mind for the most part, hey, I have this amount of time to this amount of time on average to be able to throw the ball. Let's say Mac thinks he has 2 seconds to throw the ball, but he's getting pressured, and within 0.5 seconds to 1 second, he has a guy on his back. He's going to have to start trying to adjust himself, whether he feels that pressure or not. So now he thinks he has to get the ball out quicker when he doesn't necessarily have to. And now his timing's off, and timing is huge when it comes to being a quarterback. I think it will get evened out throughout the season, especially when this offensive line continues to get more evened out. But I don't think Mac has looked great. I don't think he's taken that second-year leap by any means so far. But again, it's week 2. Like, I don't want to jump the gun here. But if we're talking about today's game, if we're talking about what we've seen so far this offseason, this season so far through 2 weeks from the Dolphins and Steelers, I haven't loved what I've seen from Mac, and he definitely has not taken that year 2 leap just yet.
I will say, though, like Matt Patricia's play calling, for whatever people are trying to bash him about, I think he's doing stellar. I'll go as far as saying stellar. Other than the first game where he ran a 3rd and 3 with Ty Montgomery, a halfback dive, I am very impressed with just how we're able to mix it up. I mean, the offensive line, albeit that like they didn't really do great, but they didn't give up a sack, and that's kind of what you want. But they were. Penalties were being called. I'd rather us hold than get Mac beat up. But we didn't give up a sack all game, so I'm impressed with that. But like, what is your thoughts on how like the defense played, man?
Yeah. Before I answer that, what I'll say about Patricia's play calling, I don't think it's been as bad as a lot of people will say. I think we all expected it to be a little fresher. You've had Josh McDaniels for so long. I think some of us thought that, hey, this is going to be a little bit more fresher. You have a new offensive scheme. It's going to come in. It's going to be a little bit more explosive. And so far, it's not been that. I actually have. I didn't take as many notes today. I didn't have as many takeaways from this game as I did last week. But, to me, at least to start this game, I think in the fourth quarter, it got better. But like the first half of this game, I wrote down, looks like a high school football offense. That's what.
How about clock recognition by Mac Jones? Like, was it 3 times where he delayed game, and I think 2 of them.
I have that. I have this where where is it? No, that's not it.
I mean, if not for that gunner muff punt, who knows what this game would have turned into.
Here it is. Yeah, I said used a timeout to start the opening possession after halftime due to timing issues. I mean, we're lucky we came out with that win and timing didn't come down to that. But say this game was really close and offensively, you needed to go down for one last drive, whether it's a field goal or you have to punch it in the end zone for a touchdown to win the game. You need those you need those timeouts. And, really right off the bat, you get out of the locker room for halftime, you come out for the third quarter, and you're already using one of your timeouts on your first possessions to essentially make up for some of these timing issues that you're having. Like you said, these timing issues are a big thing. And like I said, this is just a continuation of what we saw at the beginning of the season last year. This is a continuation of what we saw against the Dolphins. It's these little things that are just compiling up at the end of the day that are absolutely killing this team. I mean, not being on the same page as each other, timing issues, stupid false starts on the offensive line, which we should have had more, but the Patriots did get away with, 1 or 2, thankfully for us. It's just stupid things like this that are killing the offense, and it's putting them in bad positions to actually go ahead and make plays. Something that I did see too is that the Patriots they were doing a lot of dinks and dunks today, which at the end of the day, like, hey, I'd rather you dink and dunk the ball rather than, flying the ball down to try to get a 40-yard, play down the field and essentially becoming an interception or just an incompletion. Like, you rather get something rather than nothing. But it was just a lot of dinks and dunks. It hasn't really been a lot of splash plays. We saw really one splash play. That was the Nelson Aguilar play. But even not even necessarily big 40-yard games. But I'm just talking about, hey, let's pick up 15 yards, 20 yards in the passing game and not constantly 3-5 yards. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a lot of that. And that just concerns me in the sense of there's going to be games where you have to start driving down the field quick in order to win a game or start coming back from a game in order to put yourself in a position to potentially win that game. And I'm not confident in this offense right now to be able to do that because, again, you try to go for these big plays and they're few and far between. And again, you're dinking and dunking. You're not going to have enough time on the clock to be able to do that. Again, that's why when a lot of defenses play the Patriots, they try to force them to play in that short to intermediate route because they know that they're not going to play deep. They don't really have anyone deep that you have to necessarily worry about because they don't have these big splash plays down the field. So at that point, you kind of start loading the box. You start playing what's in front of you defensively when you go against New England. And it's forcing a lot of 3 and outs. You're getting in a position where, again, you're just dinking and dunking the ball and you're not really getting much out of it. And this is just, it's going to bite the Patriots. It's going to bite the Patriots at some point this season. I'm telling you that. Oh, 1 second. Let me add you back there.
I got the latter portion of that, but yeah, we need to get more. Like I said, even on the one thing that the Steelers did better than us today is chunk plays. Albeit that our defense did I'm really impressed with this defense. Seriously, the fact that nobody went over 60 yards on their offense at all. That we're pretty damn good, and it looks like Steve Belichick is starting to figure it out.
Dude, yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, I was thinking this. I was like, could you imagine if we had the defense we have now, but let's say we had the offense that I'm not even gonna go say, hey, Brady years or anything like that, because that's just dumb. We'll even go more recent. Let's say the Patriots had an offense that they had during that 7-game win streak last year. If we had that offense right now with this defense, we would be one hell of a team, guys. This defense is good. It can keep up, especially with all the issues everyone thought they were going to have. They are playing fantastic. It is the offense that is killing us. And again, it's not even that we need a top 5 offense or anything like that. We just need to have a consistent offense that can actually get plays and drives down the field on a consistent level and not continue to turn the ball over. I mean, this is another game where Mac's turning over the ball. We're expecting him to have less interceptions this year, but honestly, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me to see him have the equal amount of interceptions, if not more, if he's going to continue to do this. This is 2 weeks now, multiple turnovers offensively. That's what's killing us. That's essentially what's going to kill us. But the only thing that's keeping us in this game is, again, the defense, who gave up 13 points to the Dolphins last week, and then here we only gave up about 14 points to the Steelers, which not the Steelers have a great offense, but they do have some key pieces.
I do think it's funny though. Deontay Johnson said before the game that we have all these players, and they said that we generally play man, and that they're gonna go have a field day on it. Really, a field day? You had 6 catches for 57 yards, and you really the only one that broke 50 yards.
Yeah, and I mean, really, even if you look at it, like through three quarters, they had 6 points. 2 were field goals. So again, you really didn't do much. You see 14 points, and some people look at that and say, oh, they had 2 touchdowns. No,
the game wasn't close.
You had 2 field goals. So
the game wasn't close. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Nick Folk missed a field goal. I swear that we need probably to get eventually, not now. I still believe in Nick Folk, but sooner than later, probably going into next off, maybe to get that Colts kicker, but we're going to need a kicker eventually but one of the biggest things is that one Judon play where he was
in coverage.
Yeah, he was guarding Najee Harris. I was like, oh my God. That's what I wanted to see. God, him and I think it Jabril Peppers earlier. It might have been earlier in the drive or it might have been later. Bro, I'm really psyched about this defense. This is going to be I get it. They have Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, but how Deontay Johnson and how I mean, look what they did against the Bengals. I get it. No TJ Watt. By the way, without TJ Watt, they're 0-5. They have never won a game. So
yeah, he's a difference maker. Like this was a big advantage for the Patriots not having him. I don't think there's a whole lot of players defensively, especially like defensive line wise, that I would say really change the aspect of a game. But I would say like I would say prime JJ Watt is one of those guys. TJ Watt now is a guy who can change a game. A healthy Nick Bosa, I think, can change a game. Maybe you could throw Joey Bosa in there. I don't know. I think a healthy Nick Bosa is actually better than a Joey Bosa, honestly. We just haven't really seen Nick Bosa healthy that much in recent history. And I'm trying to think who else, but you get the idea. There's only some players, especially defensively on the defensive line throughout the league, that when they're in the game, they change the game. They change the atmosphere, the aspect of a game completely because of how they just change the game from an atmosphere perspective and just break down, in this case, an opposing team's offensive line, which really prevents them from doing anything offensively. I think this was a big win for the Patriots not having him in there, especially because like outside of TJ Watt, they only have like one real pass rusher. So
I'm just happy we have someone post Chandler Jones. Like it's nice to have some guy that will definitely get you double-digit sacks.
Bill learned.
We have to get in the scoring column more. You can't be going into games expecting that to win with 17 points. That's not going to cut it. But I do say this: that Baltimore defense does not look good. I get it; they went against Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, but they looked real gassed. I don't know if it's in Baltimore or what. It might be in Baltimore.
For this game, it's going to be our first home game.
Why is it every game we're playing is 1 p.m.?
Yeah.
I gotta get on like
they gave us some decent prime times, but it's just like later on. Like the primetime games are not spread out for us this year. They're just clumped together. Plus
or minus is -3 on that game too. I think we're gonna be able to move the ball a lot better. I think Mac's gonna have a couple touchdowns that game. I think that we ran into two really good defenses. The only reason I think that like Miami's defense gave up 35 is because you got Lamar Jackson. Like that man just brings another element to the game that's just like similar to Mike Vick and like Vince Young and Randall Cunningham, all those really mobile quarterbacks that just gash you up all day.
I think this is going to be one of the biggest testaments here for this defense. More specifically, it's going to tell you how are you going to perform against the Bills later on. How are you going to perform against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals later on? I think this is going to really tell you because it's a different aspect than what you're facing against the Dolphins, what you're facing against the Steelers, what you face against the Packers. The Baltimore Ravens are going to give you an aspect offensively where they can pass the game. They have deep threats. They have a lot of guys who can catch 50-50 balls, whether that's Andrews or Bateman, both of which have really popped off
Duvernay
so far for them. Duvernay's been really good, especially from a special teams perspective. Baltimore's an excellent special teams also. But again, you not just have that offensive pass opportunity, which Lamar Jackson also has a pretty good cannon of an arm. Like he can launch that ball down the field. His accuracy is, here and there sometimes, but
definitely developed that arm.
He's 100%. He's developed.
What in the hell, man? Last year,
he has some good accuracy, at least from what we've seen so far in 2 weeks. He's put some passes in that absolute breadbasket so far. So it's going to be tough. Like I said, he also has a cannon of an arm, but he's also going to run the heck out of your offense. So I feel like, again, that's what's a different perspective here. For our defense is that not only do you have to play the pass, but like you have to keep up with a true mobile quarterback, which like through the first 2 weeks, can we honestly say he's had to do that? Like, Mitch Trubisky, not that much of a mobile quarterback. Like he can run a little if he wants to. Tua has a little bit of that ability too, but I think he's more of a passing quarterback. Once you start reaching Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, this is a different phase of an offense that you're going to see. So I think this is going to be a true testament to how our offense is going to perform in some of these other upcoming games. But the Patriots have been able to have that number of Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens the last few seasons. Especially the last two, I feel like they've really showcased themselves. And I feel like one area, and I've said this before, that this defense had to get better at when facing Baltimore was to get faster defensively to keep up with guys like Lamar Jackson. And I think the Patriots have done that. My biggest concern, and that's not to, touch too much on Baltimore right now. We can talk obviously a little bit more about Baltimore later after we, break this down a little more, but, just to kind of, quickly finish that point, I would say one of the biggest things here, which honestly can kind of pivot us back into talking about our takeaways from this game, was, man, injuries are scaring me. Injuries are scaring me through 2 weeks. Through 2 weeks. I mean, the fact that we had as many guys go down week 1 as we did, now for it to be week 2 and more guys are going down, and it's not like it's a depth piece. Like if Jabril Peppers went down, that's a loss, but it's not, I think, as big of a loss as, let's say, if it's someone like Kyle Duggar. It's not a Lawrence Guy or Carl Davis going down. Like, these are key guys going down. Some injuries from today. Godchow went down. Duggar went down. Bentley went down. Bentley ended up coming back later on in the fourth quarter, but he missed. He missed at least a full quarter of football, which definitely goes to say something. I know that he was dealing with some injuries even before this game, so there's some area for some concern here. Obviously, Mac was dealing with some injuries before. He was taken off the injury report before this game, but that's still area for concern. Duggar, 2 weeks in a row dealing with injuries. Godchow, I think, is a big piece. He's your real true only nose tackle here. He's going to be a big piece also. And Bentley he's a leader. He's a leader on this defense. I believe he's a captain, I believe, right? I'm not.
Yeah, he is. And what I noticed that once he came back into the game, once him and Phillips came back into the game, it was just a whole nother. It was just. Yeah. We need to get a guy that, like, if he goes down, Bentley goes down, someone can be the Mike. Maybe it'd be Mac Wilson, which, by the way, like, I put Mac and I put a parentheses W Wilson because he tipped that ball. He made an incredible, like, tip that Jalen Mills went and intercepted. I'm really impressed with this defense, man. I really am happy, like, that it's just if we could just figure it out on offense, whether it just be the new scheme, because I still ride with this. Like, it's Rome wasn't built in one day, and if we could just figure out these little things, and Mac needs to stop forcing it. I get he's really trying to. It's like he's playing hero ball, but like all the time. Take the underneath stuff, and he started doing that like towards the end of the game. It's just that, like, when we did that, Isaiah Wynn gets a penalty. Then another guy gets a penalty. Jakobi Meyers gets a block. I think it was a blocking in the back. It's like, we really are just a glutton for shooting ourselves in the foot and making this game closer than it needed to be.
Yeah. I thought that was an excellent play there by like you said, Mac Wilson, especially he finally makes a play in coverage. When we traded for him, I don't know. Do you remember, like, when I was making videos and I was doing my research, like the big thing about Mac Wilson is he's fast. He's a coverage guy, and he is fast. I'll give him that. But let me tell you, since we picked him up to that play, I really have not seen anything positive from him in coverage, which was very unexpected for me. He's been one of the best run defenders at the linebacker position, one of the best run defenders in the entire National Football League through 2 weeks. He has been absolutely stellar, and the Patriots need that. The Patriots over the last several seasons have needed to stop the run, and so far through preseason and what we saw this offseason, so far through 2 weeks, they've done so. Now, of course, they're going to have some harder matchups with some of these running backs, but, Edmonds is a good running back. Najee Harris is a good running back in every
71 yards.
Game. He didn't do much at all. This run defense has looked stellar, and I think Mac Wilson has been a big part of that. But I'm not confident in saying that I'm comfortable with him playing in coverage. Now I'm more comfortable with him playing in coverage than Jelani Tavai. But again, at this point, like, I think the Patriots were expecting more out of Mac Wilson from a coverage perspective, and they haven't gotten that as of yet because Tavai is not a guy you're going to want to put in coverage. Bentley, you can put in coverage. He's, I'm not going to say he's the best, but you can definitely put him in coverage. But, Mac Wilson was supposed to come in and give you a different aspect in coverage, and I just feel like so far he hasn't done so. Hopefully he kind of adapts to that. I think he has the intangibles and the God-given abilities to be able to do so. The instincts, the speed, the sideline to sideline speed. He has it all to be able to play well in coverage. His play recognition, I think, just needs to get better. I think it just mentally he's a little bit slow, which is why physically he's looking a little slow out there. But But again, that's not to hate on Mac Wilson. That's just a part of his game he definitely needs to get better at, because we've seen him give up some big plays. Now, obviously, that was a great tipped ball in coverage to cause an interception. We need more of that. But other than that, in every phase of the game, Mac Wilson has been great. Now, I wouldn't say to make him like a play caller if Bentley goes down. I don't think the Patriots would do that either. I think he's a good like rotational piece, but I see him more of like an outside linebacker more so than I do inside. And people are not going to like this, and it's not that I like it either. But I really believe that the Patriots would do one of two things if this case happened. If what you're saying, Bentley goes down, you need someone to come in and call plays. Either one, you have somebody like Adrian Phillips or Kyle Duggar come up, play hybrid linebacker close to the line of scrimmage, play more in the box. That's something you could definitely see. We actually saw Kyle Duggar a lot last week, play a lot more close to the line of scrimmage as a hybrid linebacker, which is why he made a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage. So that's something they could do. That is definitely something they could do. We've seen for several years now, they love to bring their safeties close and actually play them as linebackers. They trust their safeties playing linebacker in coverage a lot more than their linebackers actually playing coverage. But the second thing I could see them doing, and I don't like it, and Patriots fans are about to riot in this chat, Jelani Tavai. I could see them doing that, and I don't like it. But you know what? Bill Belichick,
he had a clutch sack.
Matt Patricia, they love Jelani Tavai. So as much as I wouldn't agree with it, tell me that's not something Belichick would do.
But then again, like we've seen in the past with like, what's his name? McClellan in the past. We've had Kyle Van Noy, we traded a 6th-round pick for him. And I'm not saying he played the Mike linebacker. I'm saying that like he's been able to get guys that you never think would be able to fill that role and just fill that role. I'm really impressed with like how like Jabril Peppers, like he really like showed his own towards in the fourth quarter. Some of those plays he was making, just like I think it was back-to-back plays. He locked up, I think, Najee Harris, and then he blew up. I don't remember who it was in the backfield. And I'm like, that is what I'm talking about. And on top, if we're talking defense, Jalen Mills, he played phenomenal. He's giving you all the underneath shit you want. All the stuff that you want to do underneath, he's going to give it to you. But he, at this moment, I get it. We first Mitch Trubisky and Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know if I said that right. But for what it's worth, he's doing what a cornerback should be doing. And I'm really impressed. Miles Bryant, I really don't want him fielding any footballs. I feel like he really was close to fumbling several times. Maybe get Pierre Strong back there, but I know I'm jumping around from here and there to there, but I'm kind of just excited that we got a win. It was a tough game. Not the prettiest of games, but I'm really happy about our team going forward, at least defensively.
Yeah, and I think Jabril Peppers stepped up a lot when, Kyle Duggar essentially had to step out due to injury. So I think that's something I'm very confident about, is that Jabril Peppers can kind of stand in. As for Jalen Mills, like you said, I think he's played pretty well. He gave up some catches. He also gave up that 2-point conversion. Obviously that's something you want to see him play a little bit better, but also understand who he's going against. Like Deontay Johnson is a great football player with a better quarterback. If Ben Roethlisberger was there, Deontay Johnson is going off. Also, Mac Jones loves Deontay Johnson. From the Pro Bowl and whatnot last year, he said he was like one of the only guys that would actually go full out throughout practice. And also, I know Mac Jones loves Deontay Johnson, but unfortunately, I know they signed him to that contract extension, so he will not be a free agent at the end of this season. I would have said that that's a guy the Patriots could potentially target. But as for again, Jalen Mills, there's some places he's going to give up. Essentially, that's just kind of what he's doing. But you're not hearing his name that much, which is a positive thing, because I feel like it's better to not hear a player's name than it is to hear it a lot from a negative standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you want to see him make some plays, but a lot of Patriots fans are like, we want to see Mills actually come up with plays, make these plays, force the fumbles, and come up with interceptions. And you know what? It's better to make sure that he's locking someone down and he's quiet than it is to risk just to make a play. So I think he's been pretty good. I've also was a little surprised too. They've used him in a variety of different ways too. I think a lot of people thought that he was just like your pure CB1. He's gonna go against every single week against a team's number one wide receiver. But we didn't see him on Deontay Johnson the whole game. We saw him on several different receivers. So I thought that was really interesting to see.
I'm just trying to see, like, I'm curious. Are we going to be utilizing Marcus Jones like at all? I mean, if I have no faith in Miles Bryant returning any sort of footballs at all. And he does decent in coverage. I just think that like Marcus Jones, his tape, just watching him coming, I think the University of Houston, he just jumps out of the freaking building. 5'8", just he runs the accolades upon accolades. He's a stellar player, and yet I feel like I don't want to bury him on the depth chart. If we can make our team better, I get Miles Bryant's doing well for what it is, but if we actually verse a good quarterback, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I get what Tua did today, but I mean you got Jalen Waddle and you got Tyreek Hill, but if we verse a legit quarterback, which we are going to be doing next week, it might not end as well.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. Ultimately, though, I think defensively they did really, really well today. Even offensively, the Patriots offense was better than the Steelers offense. You know, the Steelers only put up about 243 total yards today. The Patriots put up 376 total yards today. Rushing wise, the Patriots defense only gave up 91 yards again against Najee Harris and company. It's pretty damn good. And then passing yards, New England only gave up 152 yards. Again, Mitch Trubisky, not a great quarterback, but he has a lot of weapons around him, whether it's Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris. Like, there's a lot of weapons around you to be able to get something going. I think Pat Freiermuth is also a uprising tight end for sure. I really do like him and his potential. As for the Patriots offense puts up 252 total yards today in the passing game.
It's like 90% freaking Nelson Aguilar and Jakobi Meyers. We need to get other people involved.
It's like 90% Jakobi Meyers.
it was both of them. Aguilar had 110, Myers had 95, but it's he had made
Aguilar
comments before. Yeah, he made comments before the game, Jakobi Meyers, about how he doesn't kind of know what we're trying to do on offense. It was a little bit alarming, which it makes sense. Kendrick Bourne had 2 receptions for 16 yards. I mean, we really need to start. I don't know if he didn't get a snap. His snap count was low or whatever it is, or maybe they're just look. Actually, I'm trying to make excuses for Belichick. Play the Kendrick Bourne for God's sake. Play him. I don't know what the animosity is. I get you're trying to make a point, but this isn't. We can't be pissing away games especially when Mac needs another target out there, because Devontae Parker at this point, look, I think they'll figure it out. I think it's just a chemistry thing. Like you saying, like, I think you were talking about how Devontae Parker was trying to come back to the ball. I think that was in the 4th quarter. And then it wound up being short because I guess Devontae Parker's probably looking for a back shoulder fade or whatever. And I think they'll figure that out. It's just Mac's going to need at least a guy that, like, Hunter Henry's been pretty quiet. Jonnu Smith been pretty quiet. Mac needs that third option. Other than the run game, like it was really just the Nelson Aguilar and Jakobi Meyers show.
You got to get these tight ends involved. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't defenses can't double cover everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they want to double cover Hunter Henry, all right, well, they can't double cover Jonnu Smith, and they can't double cover Nelson Aguilar. They can't double cover Jakobi Meyers or Kendrick Bourne. Like, there's ways to get these guys involved, and we're still not doing it with the money we're paying these tight ends. Like, man, you got to get them more involved. You can't just have 1 or 2 splash plays from these tight ends a week. You're giving them this money. It's got to be consistent and it's got to be week to week. We can't be doing this anymore, because at this point, it's just an absolute waste of money, which is hurting the team at the end of the day. You know, we know Belichick is super safe when it comes to money. And honestly, like, but that only goes so far. That spending spree looked great at that time, but I feel like we just haven't really seen much of it. You know, obviously Judon's popped out for us. That's definitely shown. But offensively here, I just feel like these additions we made in this big free agent spending spree, you know, about a year ago, we just haven't seen much come out of it. And you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out if you're going to pay these guys this money. And let me tell you, Kraft is not going to be happy if he's paying these guys out of his pocket and these guys aren't coming up with any type of contribution. And I'll be curious. I'll be curious to see if Kraft says anything about Kendrick Bourne. Like you said, we have to see his snap count before we go off and riot about things.
I didn't see him much. I didn't see him much
either. But sometimes players are out there more than we think. So we'll have to see snap count. I don't think he'll be out there that much. 20% of offensive snaps max. But like you said, 3 targets, 2 receptions, 16 yards.
Not going to cut it.
I think he had like a long reception of like 10 yards. He should have been 3 for 3. He should have been 3 for 3, but Mac just did not hit him when he was wide open. That was that big overthrow by Mac.
That was almost an interception.
That was almost another interception. Wide open Kendrick Bourne. I mean, I'm not gonna say Kendrick Bourne would have been in for a touchdown, but the yards after the catch too, he would have picked up very decent yards for the Patriots there. That would have been one of the biggest plays of the day. And like I said, he was wide open, and all Mac had to do was hit him, and Mac essentially threw the ball way too high for Kendrick to be able. I think it was a high and a little behind him. So he was not able to come down with that ball. So essentially, he should have been 3 for 3. But again, at the end of the day, that didn't happen. He was what? 1, 2, 3. He was the 4th receiver here. The 4th leading receiver goes Nelson Aguilar, Jakobi Meyers, Damian Harris, and then Kendrick Bourne. So
I'm just curious whether or not we pay Myers out now at this point, because he's proven that, like, I was the big guy. I was a big guy on campus that was like, okay, this guy doesn't get yards after catch, but I can't even. I think I lost track of how many times this guy made a clutch catch today. I'm like, okay, this guy's just unbelievable. He worked on his game. I think other than there was like 4 catches, I think maybe 2 of them he could have been better with. Other than that, he just played stellar.
13 targets, man. 13 targets, 9 receptions. Absolutely insane. It's insane. You know what? Because again, he's not going to give you all these big splash plays. He's not going to give you really much of anything after the catch. But I mean, at the end of the day,
you need a first down.
So damn consistent. He's a guy that game in and game out is going to give you multiple receptions. Like without Jakobi Meyers, are the Patriots moving the ball?
No, not a chance.
So I think that's how you have to look at it. Like the fact that right now, if I had to tell you one player that makes up this Patriots offense, I can't doubt but to say Jakobi Meyers. I can't.
Can't say Nelson Aguilar, because Nelson Aguilar only popped off 1 game. I think this is his best game as a Patriot.
Actually,
it took him this long. But I mean, maybe he'll be a big, more integral part of our offense now, and I'm looking forward to that, because I was one of the guys that beat him up on that fumble. It happens. The game was kind of out of his hands at that point, anyways. But I'm really excited with everybody else. I just think that we need to get that third guy that you could just really rely on. A little Jordan Humphrey. I feel like if you get this guy a little bit more snaps, he'll be something else. But Kendrick Bourne, that needs to be a subject that Kraft needs to go and bring to Belichick. Listen, I get it. I don't know what's going on, but you need to get this guy more touches, because he's a difference maker. I mean, like, I think that 10-yard reception he got was a 3rd down that we needed. Like, it was in such crunch time that we needed him to do it, and he did it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not all about talent. It's not all about speed when it comes to who you should be having on the field. I feel like at the end of the day, I'd rather have a guy who maybe isn't as fast or maybe is less talented, which I'm not saying, Bourne is compared to Aguilar. But he fits the system so well. He has a connection with the quarterback. And I feel like those 2 things are equally, if not more important than the talent aspect. Like I say this all the time, but how many times have we seen guys who just did not pan out before the NFL, who didn't pan out with teams before the Patriots, UDFAs, and then they just absolutely pop off. And it's not because they're the most talented, but it's because of where they are, because of the system, because of the quarterback, because of the connection, because of the chemistry, they pop off. So I'm trying to see if I have any more notes. Here's one that I actually do want to talk about. And then guys, we're going to answer some questions. So while we finish this off before we go into kind of a Q&A.
Damn, 43 minutes.
I know. I don't know how we lasted 43 minutes, just because, like I said, I did not have nearly as many notes for this game. Like I said, it was just a lot of dinks and dunks, short plays. This was not the most fun game to watch by any means. It was just a lot of little plays here and there. There wasn't a whole bunch of takeaways for me. It was just kind of like a monotone game for me for the most part of this game. But like I said, drop some of your guys' questions. After we finish this off, we're going to answer your questions. But I want to make sure I have some questions in there for the chat already when we're done, so I can just jump into those. Start dropping them now. But I don't know if this was the interception you were talking about earlier. But Mac off of my thought right now, he should have had 2 interceptions. He obviously had that one on Fitzpatrick. But Sutton should have had that interception.
100%.
I don't know what that play was by Mac, and this just goes back to me saying Mac's had these plays where you're just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's one thing maybe if you see him holding and you throw it because you think it's a freebie play, but that's obviously not what this was. Mac scrambles out, he passes the ball. He's throwing off
his back foot.
He throws the ball. I don't know where he thought he was going, because there was a defender here. I don't know who he was trying to throw to. I think it was like Bourne or Jakobi. And obviously there's the defender on the heel of the Patriots receiver. And then Sutton's right here. Where did Mac think he was going to fit that ball that a defender wasn't going to get it? But I actually put this down. It looked like Mac was playing catch with Sutton. That's what that ball looked like. Mac literally goes out, just passes the ball, and Sutton's literally just sitting there on his knees, just going like this.
And I don't think he was really. I don't think he was really getting pressure. I don't really think he was getting pressured.
He really
either.
wasn't even pressured all that
like,
much.
He didn't
there wasn't
need
somebody
to do
about to stack him. Like there wasn't somebody on his heels where if he didn't get rid of that ball right that second, he would have been demolished. Like it wasn't that. It was a bad pass, a bad decision. I don't know what in God's name he was thinking or where he thought he was going to throw that ball. It's not like Sutton made some crazy play. Like he literally just moved over like 3 feet, 5 feet. That was it. But luckily enough for the Patriots, and this was a bad play by Sutton. This was a bad play by him. If I'm a Steelers fan, I'm pissed off because how are you just chilling there? The ball just comes right to you. You have it, and then you don't
complete the catch.
Drop it. Like the dude just like basically just let it roll out of his hands. I don't know how you drop that. That is the most easy interception you will ever make.
It's at this point where I'm looking at Mac and I'm like, play to your means. Don't like, we all know the arm talent's definitely there. It's better than what it was last year. I think he has a lot more touch on it. I think he has a lot more velocity on it, but you shouldn't be thrown off your back foot. You're not Josh Allen. You're not all these other guys that have the capabilities to do that. So play into your means. Stop trying to prove everything to everyone else that you're this player. Do what you did last year, 3,800 yards. And I think he'll be on pace for that, but just play to what your ability is. I feel like he really is trying to force it. He probably hears all the narratives that are going on right now. It's hard to block out stuff like that. And then he's just trying to really stop trying to put up 3 touchdowns. Get the dub. What you're going to be known for is the W's at the end of the day. They ain't going to care about what the box score says about your stats. And it seems like that's what he was kind of doing, whether it be this week where he was forcing it to like Jonnu Smith, where he's in double coverage on like a 3rd and 2, or it will be Hunter Henry where he was triple covered last week. Like stop doing things that are not in your means.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if it's because he knows he has a starting job and now he's more comfortable. So he's trying to push the limits this year, but do what you did in Alabama. Do what you did last year. Stay true to who you are. Stay true to your playing style. That's all you have to do. Like, I feel like he's looking at some of these other quarterbacks in the NFL and their come-ups.
Fuck them.
These successful quarterbacks with your Lamar Jacksons, your Pat Mahomes, even your Matthew Staffords, like we can go on and talk about it. Your Josh Allen's, like the way these guys have even progressed. They kind of started off slow, but like progressed their playing style, the way they throw the ball, their velocity, their strength of their arm, the strength of their passes. Like, don't try to be those guys. Do what you do best and what has essentially made you a 1st-round pick. Don't go away from your playing style. Don't go away trying to be someone that you're not, trying to be another one of these quarterbacks in the NFL to try to be more successful or more splashy. Like, at the end of the day, do you and be you. Mac is one of the smartest quarterbacks in this entire league. He's easily the smartest player on the Patriots. And I would say one of the smartest players in the National Football League. Like if he didn't want to be a football player, this dude would, I don't know what he would do. He had like over a 4.0 GPA. Like this dude was smart. This dude is smart. And that's what essentially he was like coming out of college, coming into the draft. You knew, hey, he's not going to give you huge splash plays. His arm isn't going to bomb the ball 80 yards down the field. He's super accurate. He's very smart. He knows where to put the football. And because of that, it's going to make up for these other issues. But now you're taken away from that because you're not playing smart. You're not putting the ball where it needs to be. You're not diagnosing a defense because you're too busy on trying to adapt your playing style to some of these more flashy NFL quarterbacks. And I feel like that's becoming a really big issue for him. So I would say, you know what, stay true to who you are. Stay true to how you played in Bama. Stay true to how you played last year, because at the end of the day, like that's what's going to be more successful for the Patriots. Don't be pushing your limits right now. Now's not the time to do that. You want to push your limits, do it in the off season, do it in the preseason. But other than that, now's the time where it's time to focus. This is your job right now. You know what I'm saying? Preseason, you want to mess around. You want to mess around in training camp and throwing sessions. All right, whatever. Do you try to become a better quarterback in your free time? But when games matter, it's when you got to turn that off. You can't be doing that.
I think that this whole what we're going through, this whole process and all that things, it just leads me to believe that we should probably have played more in the preseason. I guess you don't want to go into that situation where like the Edelman situation where I think you got an ACL tear in the preseason. But given that there were so many questions that needed to be made, I think that we like Max should have been playing a lot more during the preseason, and it's been kind of apparent. I think that. And we'll really find out what this team's made of, like Belichick says, and during Thanksgiving time.
Yeah. And hey, maybe at the end of the day, Mac views this as more of a preseason. So he's trying to, he's trying to push his limits a little bit more.
I don't know
right
if you
now
should
and
do
see what he
that.
has, but I don't agree with it by any means. I'm saying, maybe because Belichick has that thought process, maybe Mac has that thought process, but it's not a good one, especially because you know what, like you don't want to start the season off slow. Like you do not want to have to start making up mid to late in the season and have to rely on other teams to get you in the playoffs. Like just because you were starting off slow, don't do it. Start off as hot as you can. If you kind of start to take a decline in the middle, like, then you could start picking yourself back up. But it's really hard. Let me tell you, it's really hard if you start the season off slow and you have to pick yourself up for the rest of the season. It's going to be really hard for this team to be able to do that. So, like I said, he has to kind of sit back and say, I need to calm down. I don't know. And like I said, there's multiple factors that could go into the way Mac's playing. And I think the offensive line is a big part of that because let's keep in mind too, I think the offensive line has gotten better the last, couple of weeks compared to what we were expecting to see, especially in preseason and in training camp and whatnot. We heard it was going to be a lot worse. And I feel like through 2 weeks, it hasn't been as bad as we were expecting. I think it's progressively gotten better. Some stupid pass interference calls and penalties and stupid crap like that that's costing the team. But other than that, it hasn't really been terrible. I think this week was a lot even better than last week. Like we're going to see it progress. But like I said before, that could really mess up Mac's timing because for months this offseason, this offensive line's performing bad. So he's kind of, his timing, he was projected to kind of change that. And he thought he was going to have less time to throw versus now they're playing better. He has more time to throw. So he's going to have to readjust that timing. It's a whole thing. So that could play part into it. But nonetheless, I think this is something Mac needs to figure out because we were saying this all offseason. Like this Patriots offense is going to struggle. It's going to have a lot of questions. Mac has to take that second year leap if this offense is going to take that next leap forward, is going to be successful at all. And right now, Mac has not done that at all. He has not taken that second leap. And this offense is going to continue to struggle until Mac does take that second leap.
Let it be known that it's not Matt Patricia. It's really not Matt Patricia. I'm ecstatic about what he's done.
I think
so far.
It's execution. And like I said, that's not to say the play call has been the best. It's not to say that he's one of the best offensive coordinators.
No.
It's not to say that he should be the offensive coordinator next year, but I don't think I don't think he's the reason play calling wise why this offense is not performing well. It's the stupid penalties. It's the dumb decision. It's the lack of execution. That's literally what it all comes down to. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to Diehard Pats fan for that $20 donation. Super sticker really means a lot. Like I said, guys, usually unless we're doing like a Q&A portion of the live, we usually don't answer like the questions unless we get to that point. But if you do drop a donation, you drop a super chat, no matter where we are in the stream, we pause where we're at, we highlight that super chat, and we answer it. If you want to get your question 100% answered at any point in the chat, the way to do so is to do it through super chat. So again, Diehard Pats fan, thank you. You guys donating to the channel actually helps me out a lot, especially because YouTube and their algorithm, they get down on their creators. Like they do not pay their creators well at all. It's a real problem. So, you guys becoming Patreon members, which link in the description below. If you guys want to become a Patreon member, get more benefits and content from me, go ahead. Only $10 a month helps me out a lot and you get benefits from it. But you guys, liking the video, which speaking of which, guys, leave a big like on this live stream right now. It helps out a crap ton. You guys commenting and liking the videos is the way that it tells YouTube, hey, this guy's good. This is a channel we should promote more. If you guys don't, it starts to kind of push me down back and we start to fall a little bit more. So it would mean a lot if you guys like the video and whatnot. But like I said, Diehard Pats fan, thank you for that $20 donation. But
damn, come to my page.
Yeah, you get like $40 off of that one, dude.
Oh my God. But this guy just like flat out, just $20. He's like, Kobe's a dude. Kobe's a dude. Let me give him.
I had someone donate $100 before.
Jeez.
Crazy. It's been a minute. But
well deserved though, guys. Well deserved because he does bring the greatest of content. So
I appreciate it. I am going to be dropping that Kendrick Bourne video today. I've been meaning to drop it, so I'm going to drop that today. But let's look at some questions here. Let's look at some questions. I don't know. Can you see the questions too, or is it just me?
No, if I go to see, that's how it got me logged out the last time. I tried to click on the chat to see what people were saying. I'm like, not doing that shit again.
That's weird. All right, let me try to find some questions again, guys. Make sure you do drop your comments. I like this one. I like this one by S27. We'll start with this one. So people want for us to talk about kind of this matchup for next week. How do you think that we prepare for Lamar Jackson next week? Do we man mark him maybe with Wilson? Question mark.
Oh God, that's a hard one. That is really a hard one. Maybe you got to have Jabril Peppers be the mic, just because like Jabril Peppers is fast as hell. You see, you can't say that you can't trust his arm, because when we versed him, I think with Cam Newton, his arm wasn't kind of to the development that it is now, where he can actually sling the football. So it's gonna be a test. I think that you can't load the box. However, if you just take Duvernay out of the situation and then you make Lamar Jackson have to use his feet, that's not really answering your question, but it's not something you really can say definitively that you can actually stop this man. It's just limiting him. Make sure he's throwing the ball instead of running it, because Lamar Jackson, he runs the football. He's just a difference maker that's just going to take the game to a new height.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with what you're saying. Like I said, if you're going to put like kind of essentially a quarterback spy on
Mac Wilson, maybe
on Lamar Jackson, I would say it's either one of your safeties. So I'm thinking it's either Adrian Phillips, who honestly at that point I'd rather have in coverage against Andrews, but it's something I could definitely see them playing either like a Jabril Peppers, like you said, or Adrian Phillips on him. But I would not be opposed whatsoever to having Mac Wilson on him. My only question mark, like I said, Wilson has been good in stopping the run. He's been good sideline to sideline speed, but in coverage hasn't done very well. So, is he going to be able to keep up with Lamar? I hope so, but maybe that's a way that they can kind of, get him out of coverage and actually still have him play a pivotal role in this defense. Is, hey, we're not going to have you cover, Bateman or anything like that, Duvernay, nothing like that out of the backfield or whatever. We're just going to have you be a quarterback spy on Lamar. Make sure that he's not picking up first downs. Make sure you get him behind the line of scrimmage. Obviously he's going to pick up some yards here and there, but don't be giving him 10-yard first downs and more than that. You can't be doing that. He had like one of the longest runs of his career today against the Dolphins. So stuff like that you can't do. I think as long as Mac Wilson, whoever it is covering him, can limit him in those situations, then at that point you have to rely on your secondary to really hold the fort down to make sure that, hey, he's not going to pass the ball when he gets out, because that's a big one.
And the biggest thing is, man, 3rd and 17. Limit the chunk plays. That we should have been off the field at that point. I know, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but that 3rd and 17 kind of just came to my mind, where like we were about to get them off the field, and like limit the chunk plays. That is going to be the killer for this defense. We do not give up points, but we do give up yards. That's where we need to like really put the nail home.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, as long as you can essentially contain him from running, again, let's say that in this specific case, that guy's going to be Mac Wilson. If you can contain him from running, you're going to force him to kind of throw that ball. You're going to start putting pressure on him. He's going to be forced to throw that ball quick. Yes, guys are going to be able to make plays. So essentially this secondary is going to have to show up. I think it's going to be an absolute big and pivotal game for these safeties, Kyle Duggar, Devin McCourty, Adrian Phillips, like Jabril Peppers. This is going to be a big game for those guys. Make sure you don't get those splash plays out of the field, because he's going to be a guy that extends plays. He's gonna shake off some tackles. He's gonna go out wide and try to extend these plays in the passing game. So, like I said, I think pressure is going to be a big one too. Put pressure on him as much as possible. You want to be able to mess up those passing lanes. And I think as long as you do that, you're going to be fine. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots played a little bit more zone in this game compared to man, just because, again, let's say Mac Wilson is on Lamar Jackson, and then let's say Lamar Jackson just absolutely toasts him. Absolutely, like just juking him out, stiff arming him, and he's getting past time after time. At that point, you're going to have no one around, because all the other Patriots defenders are playing man-to-man on their guy. They're focused on playing one dude versus playing their zone. You play a little bit more zone, then, hey, let's say Lamar gets out after beating, let's say, Mack Wilson again in this case, then, you have Jalen Mills right by playing his zone that can come up and make that tackle. So I would expect the Patriots to play more zone this game than we've seen so far this season, and probably at the end of the game, more zone that they're going to play man. I think that's one of the big ways you're going to have to contain it.
And I'm looking at this 2020 matchup. He had 55 yards on 11 carries, almost 250 yards, 249 yards passing. I feel like that's kind of the recipe for it. Like, keep him to those numbers. If we keep him to those numbers, it's still going to be a tight game, but it's a difference maker. Don't let Duvernay get huge chunks on special teams. Don't let Bateman beat you over the top. And I think that, like, if we just, I don't want to say load the box on Lamar Jackson, that wouldn't be good, but I'm saying play closer to the line than you normally would. Yeah.
And I'm going to have to watch like the all 22 film of that game last year and kind of get a better idea on what the Patriots are going to do. So maybe I'll do like a little breakdown video of that for you guys. I'll try to get that done. And kind of just
so hard.
Kind of just say what to expect. But I think if I watch that all 22 film from last year, it'll kind of give us a pretty good idea on what to do. And like I said, I think the Patriots for this matchup should be better than last year. Obviously, I don't think your corners and your safety, I'm not gonna say your safeties, but your secondary in general, maybe it's not as great just because you're losing your number one guy in JC Jackson and whatnot, but you're adding a lot of speed, you're adding a lot of youth athleticism. So I think because of that, you should match up better. So I'll be really curious to see kind of what the Patriots did from a defensive scheme point, but also what were some of those weaknesses they had. Again, I think it came down to speed. And if that ends up being the case when I rewatch that all 22 film, then I'm very comfortable with where the Patriots are at in this game. So let's see.
Broke that down, but it's 2020. We didn't play them last year.
Why did I feel like we played them last year?
Because I feel like we play them every year at this point.
I really do. Like, I don't know who I don't know. Maybe time's just going too quick, but I really did feel like we played them.
It really feels like having Cam Newton as our starting quarterback was like yesterday. But it's going to be really hard to stop him, man. I think like 55 yards on 11 carries, it means he really only averages about 5 yards an attempt. If we can do that, look, I think we can. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to do what he did against the Dolphins today, where he's just ripping off runs left and right.
Here's another good one. I think you're gonna be interested in actually answering this one. Do you think Jack Jones will move up the depth chart?
I like what he's doing. I think that he makes a lot of plays that like don't get seen on the stat sheet. And I think looking at our cornerbacks, I don't have really any faith in Miles Bryant. I think that like Jack Jones should definitely be taking his place 100%. I think Miles Bryant also should stop fielding punts and kick returns, which is probably why we went to Pierre Strong. We didn't want to have a situation where Gunnar Solowski, where how he fumbled it. But yeah, Jack Jones, he should really have a pick on his resume at this point. Tyreek Hill just made a otherworldly catch.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I think he'll play a little bit more as the season goes on. But again, I don't think Jack Jones is as good right now as JC Jackson was when he was kind of a rookie at this time. And, JC Jackson started off slow. He was not really even in every single game. He was only getting a few snaps here and there. And he, for the most part in his rookie season, played as more of a CB3. And even then he didn't get that till, closer down the road in the season. I think because of where the Patriots are in their secondary, because they don't have, as much talent, they don't have like Stephon Gilmore and Jason McCourty and whatnot. That's why you're seeing him play a little bit more CB3 right now. But other than that, like, that's all I would expect from Jack Jones, at least this season, unless for some reason he just absolutely lights it up. Like you said, I'm surprised he hasn't made a play. I'm surprised he hasn't made a play. I'm surprised he hasn't made an interception, anything in general. But I don't see him being CB1. I don't see him being CB2. I think at best he's going to play CB3. Again, I expect his snap count to go up a little bit more as the season progresses, as long as he doesn't look bad. But at the end of the day, I'm not, don't expect a lot. Don't expect a lot from Jack Jones this year, especially as a rookie. He's not going to really climb that depth chart other than where he is now. I think you're just looking at a little bit more playing time, and that's about it. He's going to play perimeter, and that's also about it. The only way I see him playing more is if he comes down to injuries, which at the end of the day, you don't want Mills to get injured. You don't want John Jones to get injured. So you better hope that doesn't happen, because let me tell you, we're not in a position. We are not in a position where we want to see Jack Jones as your number 1 or number 2 outside guy. I think he'll have good moments, but I just don't think he's ready for that. Again, JC Jackson was better at this moment in his rookie season than Jack Jones is right now, and they didn't even trust JC Jackson to do that. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process on that. But it looks like we did just get another donation, a $20 donation here from my boy, longtime supporter,
Neil.
And member Neil Ray. Yeah, you know Neil.
Neil, you bet. Neil. That's it. I'm gonna start charging him for coming in my lives.
Neil Ray, my boy, you said I didn't see the game, but I did see some recap. We did better on offense. Aguilar popped off. Wow, what a defense. Why do you think KB wasn't involved and the tight ends as much with the way the running backs set things up? Thank you both for all you do. Much love. Much love to you, Neil. You know, all love. We love you, man. I mean, you pop out to his.
Not so much me right now. It's not so much me right now. I'm a little bit.
We love you. He pops off for us. He's a huge supporter. Huge supporter. So all love for you, Neil. Definitely catch that game if you can. At least like look at the highlight reel after.
Whatever highlight reel you get.
I don't know how a highlight reel is going to be. It's going to be more like dinks and dunks. It's going to be like literally 2 minutes. But why do you think KB wasn't involved, and why weren't the tight ends involved as much? Honestly, on that Damian Harris goal line, I think it was after the muffed punt by Olszewski. The Patriots on that drive, they did a little bit something different with personnel, which I think it worked out for them, because even the announcers and the commentators were like, that Patriots O-line and these blockers absolutely pushed the Pittsburgh defense back, and just gave enough blocks for Damian Harris to pop right in. But they had Lil Jordan Humphrey, they had both tight ends on the field, Hunter and Jonnu, and they didn't just have Damian on the field, they also had Ramondre. So they had 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, and a wide receiver. Really interesting to see. I think they were just in there more so for blocking today. As for why they're not getting them involved, I can't tell you. I really don't know why they're not getting them involved. You have to at the end of the day. I thought they had pretty decent coverage. Like this is a good Steelers defense. This has been one of the best defenses so far this offseason. This is going to be so far this season, and this is going to be one of the best defenses by the end of the year. Like this is easily, no doubt, a top 10 defense that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. They have a good secondary. They have a good defensive line. It's not as good without, TJ Watt, but still very good. So that's something you have to keep in mind too. The Patriots, even last year with their receivers, had issues with separation and getting open. So maybe that's part of it, but I'll be curious to see how much 12 personnel they ran and how much, these tight ends actually played, because like we said before, you got to start getting these guys involved. I mean, Jonnu Smith is going to give you after the catch yards. He showed that last week. Hunter is just going to be a reliable guy that catches in traffic. We need to use him more. He's not even getting targets. Like, it's not that these guys just aren't coming down with the ball. It's just that they're not given the opportunity. And we have to figure that out, because you have 2 tight ends that when they were signed were 2 top 10 tight ends in the league. So you have to figure this out.
I can't wrap my mind around KB not playing more. Like it's, I don't know. Belichick and Matt Patricia, they're too much into their own egos. I think he's going to eventually start getting touches again. We need to look at what we have as far as offensive talent. Parker's really not performing to what we brought him in to even expect from him. Nelson Aguilar actually is playing pretty freaking well now. But Jakobi Meyers is himself. We need a guy that, like Kendrick Bourne, to be that third option. And it's going to be very interesting because Tyquan Thornton is leaking in the shadows. And it's only a matter of time before that man comes back. And then it's going to be very interesting how they put him into the offense. And that's why I'm going to say this. I know that it's not something you asked, but I think that the moment Tyquan Thornton gets into this offense, they're going to take off. I think that will open up a lot more for plays for like Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. I think that now that there's more tape, like look at Colin Kaepernick. There was not tape for him coming out of the draft and everything. Not out of the draft, out of the backfield with the 49ers. And the moment he started playing, people couldn't prepare for him. So now people are trying to prepare for the tight ends. And they're like, okay, now your wide receivers are going to have to beat us. And I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah. One of the only kind of assumptions I can come up with here is that they're just relying too much on these wide receivers, which this is one of the best receiver cores for the Patriots that we've seen in a long time. So I can understand. I think there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of diversity with these, these wide receivers. But it's not to put Devontae Parker out there in response to not putting out Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith. At the end of the day, like, I think Parker's a good piece and someone who should get some looks for sure.
Red zone.
You're trying to play him like 100% of the offensive snaps. And at the end of the day, like, that connection, that chemistry is not there right now. You have to accept it. You have to build that in practice, and you have to accept it. You can't just try to build it and play him 100% of the offensive snaps and build it in game. It's just not going to work. Put Mac in a position where he's going to throw the ball with guys he has chemistry with and is on the same page with. Hunter Henry, put him in the game more. KB, put him in the game more. Like, that's about it. I think it's just dumb personnel decisions. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think any of us expected Devontae Parker to come in and play 100% of offensive snaps.
I think they're forcing it with him. Like you said,
they're playing too much.
You said this last week. You said he takes away. I mean, it kind of clogs the field a little bit, shortens how much area you can really throw the ball. And Hunter Henry's not looking like himself. I think I think Parker will be good. I think Parker, we have him until like next season, if I'm not mistaken. I think right now, what we should be using him is situationally, because we have a lot of speed on offense. I think that take him out, make him a third down receiver, or just like play him in spurts. Don't always play him, because what happens is you really shorten the field because he's a big body, and they're really trying to do too much with him, and the chemistry has to get there, and it's just pretty damn apparent.
Yeah, like I said, guys, he's not there yet. Devontae Parker was a great addition. He's not there yet. I agree. You have to put him in certain packages, put him in spurts on the field. There's no reason to play. There's no reason to play him 100% of the time. At the end of the day, look at where you are on the field and then go from there. You also don't want him to be gassed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to be able to go up there and catch 50-50 balls and concentrate and have these massive leaps if the dude's exhausted. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just don't be doing that. Get Hunter Henry on the field, has that connection with Mac, play KB more. KB has that chemistry with Mac, but fits this offense very well. He can get you some deep plays, but he's also very good in the short to intermediate route, which we know they still want to play because they've shown us that the last 2 weeks and especially today. And look, if you're having struggles and you're not having as many opportunities or as big plays, intermediate to deep as you want, because we're seeing a lot of shots, intermediate to deep, and it's just not happening, then you know what? Put yourself in a position, because again, we're seeing a lot of dinks and dunks as of late. Put KB on the field. Get Jakobi Meyers in there as more of a safety blanket. Get Jonnu in there more. And go ahead, do some dinks and dunks, but put those guys in a position where they can get yards after the catch. Because you know what? Fine. Let's say you're just going to do a 3-5 yard dump off to one of those guys. If you can get them in space and let them use their yards after the catch ability, they can turn that into a 10-15 yard play, which at the end of the day, you're getting a, intermediate play without having to throw the ball in an intermediate to deep state. So that's just kind of my thought.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to use Devontae Parker now, you really should use him in like 3rd and 5s where you just need to just chuck the ball up. I don't want to see him doing go routes. I don't want to see him doing slants anymore. I want to see him coming back to the football. It's
always that, man. It's always go routes. It's always running down the field. Like, it's never anything different.
Let him box the guy. That's what he does. Look at what we did against the Saints in the the Raiders in the preseason. Let him I'm telling you right now, this is what I think we should have done when we were in the red zone. Let him make it a jump ball kind of catch. But we're not putting him in situations like that. It seems like we're trying to like make him into like a Tyquan Thornton kind of play where he's not that speedy guy.
No, I feel like the Patriots too with Devontae, they're trying to get big plays only from Devontae Parker. Like, have you realized that the only time they're giving him the ball is when they're trying to get these big plays down the field? You're never like too much. You're never in the red zone. Let's say 10 yards out, 5 yards out, 15 yards out. Give him a corner out, something like that. A position where he can box a guy out and make a play, but you're trying to get him like 30, 40 yard plays down the field constantly, and it's not working out for you because that's all you're doing. I'd honestly love to see him. I would love to see Devontae Parker in a Josh Gordon role. I think that would be really well. Let's do some comeback routes. Let's do some slants with him. I think that would be really good, but we're not doing that.
He's not Cordell Patterson. We can't use him like Cordell Patterson, where like Brady during the Dolphins game, a laser to the end zone. He's not going to be that guy that burns you.
No, I agree. Well, Neil made another donation here.
Of course he did. I saw it. I can see it.
Another one.
Thank you, Neil.
He says, LMAO, don't hate me, bro, for donating. I think this is a good start to improve the offense. O-line is very impressive. Mac needs to stop throwing across, bro. What do you think about that?
Look, we said it earlier, and this I'm impressed we had this much time already on the live. Mac is playing out of his characteristics. I think like we said, he really is trying to make throws that he shouldn't. Stop trying to legitimize what you did last year and just go out there and ball. If the wins stack up, everything else will be silenced. Who cares? I get Tua did his thing today, but there'll still probably be questions on him. We made it to the playoffs with you as a rookie, and I mean the hill that we're climbing up this year is going to be a lot more steeper. But go play the game that what got you to that point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say this is definitely like a start for the offense. It's a start, but it's a very slow start. Like if we keep progressing only at this level, it's really not going to matter. It's really just not. It's not going to do crap. You have to start progressing faster than what we're doing. Like I said, like, hey, I've seen little bits of progression, but it's really next to nothing. So you need to start getting faster. It's not going to matter. And then as for the offensive line, I would say they've progressed. They've looked pretty good. Especially the interior, and especially Cole Strange. Holy Cole Strange.
He is playing like a first round talent. But
he's spectacular. He's playing absolutely spectacular. He was actually one of the highest graded first round players, not offensively, not defensively, one of the highest graded first round picks last week against the Dolphins.
He's special. But like you said, man, we can't keep relying on like 17, 20 points. I mean, looking at the schedule, you got the Ravens coming up, you got the Packers, and then maybe the Lions, and even the Lions are no slouch. They're putting up big points against teams.
Dude, so they're looking good. They almost came back against the Eagles. They put up, I don't know how, I was like 35 when I was looking earlier.
It was like today. I'd have to look.
They were looking good when I was watching the game, and the scores were coming up at the bottom. They were putting up good points. They were like, I think, blowing out at one point. I forget who they're playing. But
they're versing the Commanders. Good. Okay, I wouldn't put too much into that. They won 30.
They were killing them. They were killing them.
So Lions do give up a lot of yards. So if Mac doesn't start really, I think if we could just go through these next 2 games and we split it, and then we let Mac loose on the Lions.
It's fair. I mean, I feel like this offensive success also starts with accepting where you're at,
just be
offensively in the passing game, and start trying to get the running game better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like last year we ran the ball so well that it put us in situations where we passed the ball a whole lot better. Because one, we were in better position, but two, we weren't always passing the ball. So we had a lot of advantage from where we are in perspective of goal line or first down, but also we had all these plays we could run that opposing defenses haven't really seen. I feel like now we're so far away from the run game that we're just trying to pass the ball so damn much. Like, dude, I feel like we really didn't truly run the ball a whole lot until in the fourth quarter, when at that point we were just trying to put that game away.
And just seeing how Cole Strange attacked that defense. He's playing not like a rookie at all. I'm really impressed with him.
No, I'm very impressed with how he's playing. You just need your tackles to start playing better now. All right, we'll answer one more question here.
I got one more thing that you said about the tackles. I felt like we should have been flagged a lot more with Trent Brown. I felt like he jumped off sides.
Oh, no, he did.
Oh, my God. How did they not catch a couple? It was like 3 times. It was like, I was like, oh, God, how's that not a flag? Let's be honest. Like, we're gonna tell it how it is. Like, we got away with some calls on the offensive line, but overall, like, I'm really impressed with how our offensive line played.
Agreed. Trying to find another good comment, especially from like someone we haven't picked yet.
Neil's just an all-star.
Neil is an all-star.
Wonder if he's still in the chat.
I'm pretty sure he is.
What happens when you get some diehard followers, man? I went on Bleacher Report when you went on live, and that's how he found out about me. And he's been going in my lives, and he seems to like appreciate my page. It's like, nah, man. Like me and Global kind of feed off each other.
Yeah, man. Neil kills it. We face the Ravens and Packers and you want to split. All right, let's answer this one. I think this person's a little confused. They said we face the Ravens and Packers and you want to split.
The reason why I say that is because I'm saying, like, it wouldn't be a negative to split against them. I'm not saying that obviously you want to win, but those are two tough teams. The Packers, you got Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what his offensive struggles. They're going to figure it out. I don't care who you put up at a wide receiver. The Ravens, that's going to be a game that's like, if we don't win against them, we're going to have to win against the Packers. So it's just really like, I'm not saying that we have to split. I'm saying that's something that, like, if we were to split, at least going into the next portion of the season, we have the Lions, the Browns, the Bears, the Jets. So those are where we could win our games and get on a winning streak.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I'm 2-0 right now. I'm 2-0 right now with my predictions, which it's only 2 weeks, but like I'm 2-0. Pretty happy about that. So far everything's going to my plan so far.
Okay, so you're predicting the Patriots to win?
So according to the predictions I have going here, throughout these 4 games, I have the Patriots 2-2. So,
so basically what I picked.
It's not bad. Like, if you start 0-4, that's bad. If you start 2-2, you want to be 4-0, yes, but it's you're not in a terrible place if you're 2-2.
How many times have we had slow Septembers even with Tom Brady? Yeah, I don't know. Like, we'll be fine. Like, we don't want 2-2, but I'm just saying that it wouldn't be the end of the world.
No, it's better than going 1-3 or 0-4. So, okay, I really want to touch on this one just because I feel like people are going to be like, oh, y'all are bandwagons, or y'all like players when they succeed. Which is not what I'm saying Apex is saying here, but he says, so now y'all like Cole. So here's the thing. Look, I don't know if they know your thoughts when Cole Strange was picked, but obviously I was live. The reason we acted the way we did when Cole was picked was because of the issues we were having. I think guard is a position the Patriots could have gotten later and still been fine. You could make a trade. You could pick up free agents at that point, and you would have been fine. Okay. To put a first round pick on a guard, I think is a lot, especially for value wise, the money you're going to have to put on that. But also just, again, the Patriots needed cornerback help. The Patriots needed help in a lot of different areas, which I think could have been better value in the first round. And again, you're betting on, Cole Strange at that point, which we had never seen before, to come in and be an absolute game changer. If Cole Strange didn't come in so far and be a game changer, if he was just solid, only solid, but was not a game changer, I would say, I'm sorry, I don't love the pick. Because again, the Patriots, especially, are a team that can get offensive linemen, especially interior offensive linemen, mid to late in the draft, and turn them into stars. But because Cole Strange has proven to us that he's worth being a first-round pick and has proven that he's a game changer, not just, hey, he's performing well, but an absolute game changer in every phase of the game, and is arguably the best offensive lineman right now for the Patriots. Because of that, yes, he's worth that first-round pick, and I'm happy now that we got him. You obviously wish that maybe you could have him in like the second round, but again, you're happy that you got a guy late in the first round. You traded down, picked up some extra picks. You got him late in the first round, and he's been a game changer. But again, at that time, we don't know if he's going to be a game changer or not. Now we know what he is. And even at that time, I said, hey, if Cole Strange is a game changer, if he changes the aspect and the atmosphere of this game, if he can be like a portion of like a Quentin Nelson, who, again, an absolute game changer for an interior offensive lineman, which there's really next to none of those in the NFL, it's absolutely worth the first round pick. And so far, he's shown us exactly that. So I don't know if you want to add to anything, but.
And I think, the dog is just like really like, get me out of here. I think the biggest thing is this. Like, I'm really happy we have him. Don't get me wrong. But even if you told me, if you held a gun to my head again, I'd probably still not draft him in the first round. And it's not that like you could have got him in the second. I just think that there was so much talent left on the board that you kind of, Nakobe Dean, you have Trent McDuffie, you had all these guys, and we really made guard a position of need on our own. Shaq Mason didn't need to be traded. His contract, if you let him go next year, it's an $8 million, I think, cap savings. So you didn't really need to trade him now. So we really made it in ourselves to make that position a position of need. And I just think that with who we had on the board, especially with all the other discrepancies that we had on our team, I think that guard was not one of them. And I think that I get it in hindsight now, looking at him, it's like, okay, he's doing well now, but I even if you told me, I would still probably would have got like a Jakobi Dean or someone else to just be that difference maker on defense, just because we need that. And now, I mean, it's not really showing it just because our defense is playing pretty stellar, but I just think that we could have really made.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, if the Patriots didn't draft Cole Strange, I honestly think they would have been fine at the guard position. I don't think it would have been bad. Like I said, I think they would have gotten another guy that would have 100% been solid. But they drafted Cole Strange in the first, and he has been an absolute game changer. He truly has. He's been their best offensive lineman so far. So, like, I'm glad they drafted him for sure. But if they didn't draft him and they went another way in the first round, I wouldn't be sitting here even at this point crying about it and saying, oh crap, we need Cole Strange. Like, they would have been fine. They would have been solid. It's the interior. It's different if you're talking about tackle, which we're not. We're talking about interior of the offensive line. But at the end of the day, like, hey, I'm happy Cole Strange is here. At the time, no Patriots fan was really a fan of this pick. And again, I wasn't saying it wasn't going to turn out well. It was really just value at that point. And hey, how is he going to end up performing? And he's performed really to the best that we could have possibly asked for. So as long as he can continue to play like that, he was worth the first round pick. But if they didn't draft him in the first, like, I wouldn't have cried about it because I still think they would have been fine. But I think he gives you that extra boost here to the offensive line because of just how stellar he's playing.
I had us drafting him in the 4th. Wow, my mock draft. Yeah, the 4th. So yeah.
I mean, at least you have them drafting him. I mean, I don't think he would have been there in the 4th. I honestly don't even know if he would have been there in the 2nd because, I mean, there were other teams that were actually interested in him that were ahead of the Patriots. So that could have been part of why they were essentially looking to just trade back, get some draft capital, and then just pick him where they did to make sure they secured him. Because also now you get him on a 5th-year option too. So that's something.
It works itself out. I mean, I expect big things from him. I really think that he's going to be a Pro Bowler. It might be. I just think that, like, how well he's doing against like defensive lines like the Steelers and the Dolphins, who are no slouch.
I know it's one of the best interior defensive linemen today. Hayward, Hayward. He
was jamming them. This guy, just his ability to bend is just exceptional, and just ability to read the play and know where you got to block. It's not characteristics of a rookie. Obviously, he's gonna have a point where he's gonna not be a rookie, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, guys, I really appreciate everybody for stopping into today's post stream. Like I said, we did a little bit more Q&A today than essentially a breakdown. We were able to break down next week's game a little bit, talk about today's game, and do a pretty big Q&A here for about an hour and a half. We actually went live for a lot longer than I was expecting. Just not as much for me today to break down from this game, just because I feel like, again, it was just a mellow, monotone game. It was really like this the whole game. There wasn't really ups and downs. It was just kind of like this. But what are your guys' thoughts? Like always, let me know in the comment section below. Before you guys log off of this, make sure you leave a big thumbs up on this. It literally takes less than a second, and it really helps me and the channel out more than you guys could possibly imagine. So if you want to see more live streams like this, you want to see more videos from me, all you guys got to do is comment in the comment section below your thoughts, hit that like button, and of course, subscribe to the channel for all your New England Patriots news. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out the House Call podcast, and of course, Rob's Instagram too. He will make sure that every single week you get to watch the game. He'll go live and he'll live stream the game so you can watch it on a week-to-week basis. But also, he posts all your Patriots content, inactives, news, all that. If you guys want to find his Instagram, it's his little handle right there. So mine's 22K. Right there. Mine's right there, Patriots Global. His is right down there. so go ahead and check that out, guys, if you want to give him a follow. Let him know Patriots Global sent you in his comment sections on his Instagram. Go ahead and flood that. Go ahead and flood his Instagram comments right now saying, hey, saw you on Patriots Global. Or just say Patriots Global, honestly. But other than that, guys, I appreciate you for watching. I will be posting more videos up until next week, obviously. But we will catch you for a next live stream. Next week I think next week's a 1 o'clock
1 p.m. again.
Another 1 o'clock game. Patriots first home game against the Ravens. We will have you guys covered for that post game. So without further ado, we will see you guys then, and thank you for watching.